John and Ken Show. John Cobell and Ken Champeau. KFI AM 640, more stimulating talk radio.
All right, well, we're minutes away from another John and Ken semi-regular weekly news quiz. We'll see if one of our listeners beats the other listener one-on-one to win Dodger tickets. The Moist Line comes up in 30 minutes, and Sydney Leathers will be interviewed on the John and Ken Show next hour. All ahead.
All right, so yesterday at this time, we had Joe Kwan on, KFI News, and she went to the fake fast food strike and found out, after interviewing 17 protesters at random, 16 of them did not work at a fast food restaurant. It was a fake protest that everyone in the television and print media fell for. And none of the reporters, except for Joe, went and asked to see if these were real protesters. And they should know better, because often these protests are filled with people who came on buses and were offered free lunches to stand and wave signs and to chant. It happens frequently.
Hold the burgers, hold the fries, make our wages supersized.
You know, Andrew Breitbart one time went to a Glenn Beck rally, and one of the video projects he did was to interview these union people who were protesting Glenn Beck. And forget what you think of Breitbart or Glenn Beck. But what he wanted to do is see if these protesters were real. And what he did is he kept interviewing these people who were shouting things like, "Stop the hate." And they asked, well, what hate? What did he say? And none of these people knew, and eventually they all admitted, well, they were just hired and put on a bus and given a free lunch to stand at his rally and chant stuff against him.
Oh.
It's really common that this happens, and the media ought to know this. But what the union did here in this case is they supplied every reporter with literally two real protesters who actually worked at a fast food restaurant. It's the same person. What was the name of the woman in Channel 4, Channel 7, LA Times? It was Rice, Talisha Rice. And then here you'll see in one story they've got Bartolome Perez, and he was in the story earlier this week in the run-up to the fast food strike. So the union, all the TV stations act like video propaganda arms for the union instead of telling you the truth, right? You turn on the TV, you want to see what the truth is. What happened today with the fast food strike? Who's behind it? These people really left their jobs and risked getting fired to stand and chant? Did that really happen? And most of the television stations presented it, yeah, that's what happened. You had real fast food workers risking getting fired.
Well, we pulled some audio from some of last night's telecasts. Let's begin with Channel 9, Sharon Tay reading a strike story.
Fast food workers in Southern California and other cities across the nation took to the streets today demanding bigger paychecks. Thousands of workers and their supporters walked picket lines, sending a Labor Day message to Congress. They want lawmakers to raise the federal minimum wage to $15 an hour. That's more than double the current rate. Employees say that's just not enough to make ends meet these days.
We're just here trying to make a living, and people just can't.
When you look at the cost of food, fuel, rent, all of that's going up while workers' wages have been suppressed.
All right, you can stop it there. Now, the first guy might have been a fast food worker. The second guy sounded like a union guy with all of the prepared lines about how costs have gone up. He sounded like he had himself a little prepared statement from when he encountered the media. I don't know for sure, but that's my guess with those two.
Sharon Tay did not point out the truth.
Well, she did say, and their supporters.
Yeah, but she didn't say that the union set this up. And whoever went and covered it for Channel 9, and I guess Channel 2, should have interviewed to see how many fast food workers were really fast food workers. That's your job as a reporter. You don't just stand there and have a union spokeshole give you the same single fast food worker for your story. Because now you're doing propaganda. You're not doing news. But I guess they don't care about doing news. But you tune in these stations to get truth, to get real information.
Not anymore.
Yeah, now it's just propaganda.
On the bright side, if you're a Time Warner cable customer, then you didn't see Channel 2 or Channel 9.
Yeah, right.
Here's Channel 5. This one's really bizarre. Here's one of the anchors, Cheryl Calvin, reading a strike story.
Well, if you're looking to get a quick meal this Labor Day weekend, you could be waiting a long time. Tonight, thousands of fast food workers across the country are on strike.
Tonight? Wait, hold on.
She actually read at the beginning there that this strike is going to go on the whole Labor Day weekend. That's what it sounded like.
And she said tonight they're on strike? They're not on strike. They weren't on strike last night.
No, I think it was just a daytime action to get media coverage.
And it was mostly
union
people who are not fast food workers. So there was no strike. There was no line. There was no threat of long lines at fast food joints this weekend. Whoever wrote that for her and what she read was total fiction. Complete fiction. It doesn't exist. There was no strike last night. There's no long lines this weekend. And the strike here in L.A. was mostly not fast food workers. So, again, you're sitting at home and you're assuming that whatever she's reading, whatever you're watching is true. And almost none of it was true. Why do this for a trivial story? Makes you wonder what you're getting from the important stories if this is what you get from the trivia.
I'm willing to bet that most of the workers weren't willing to leave their jobs and take to the street. That the union did this because they really want to unionize the fast food workers to make them more powerful. That's who did this. That's who's out there with the whistles and the slogans and all the rest of the chants, because they do this all the time. And if you heard Jo Kwon, she was talking to people. There was like a healthcare worker out there. There was somebody else that worked for a school district. They're members of unions, but they're not fast food workers.
See, now everybody probably thinks that at KFI there's all kinds of opinion and bias. But actually, when the news department goes out, they go to find out, well, what actually happened here. I don't think any of the reporters really care about the unions, nor do they care about the corporations. Okay, I'm assigned to this event. Who's at this event? They claim that they're fast food workers, but it turns out they're not. Well, that's a story, huh? You've got a fake fast food workers strike put on by a union that doesn't even have these fast food workers unionized.
Here comes Fox 11. Now, in this report, listen carefully at the beginning, because this is as close as you're going to get to the real story from Phil Schulman.
Well, if you're looking...
Yeah, clip one. No?
A lot more union protesters here than fast food workers. They billed it as a walkout. It's more of an organized labor protest to make the point that they want that minimum wage raised to $15, as you mentioned. The idea is to make it easier for people like Bart Perez to make ends meet. He's worked for McDonald's for 21 years. And
all right, stop it there. All right, now he does mention that it looks like it's mostly non-fast food union workers who are out there doing an action in the street. But what he's about to do next is interview a guy he just described as Bart Perez. It's Bartolome Perez. And the reason that's significant is two stories I saw leading up to yesterday's job action. Bartolome Perez was already interviewed. The Daily Breeze talked to him, and I guess by connection, the Daily News. He was appearing in a lot of articles, too. So John and I, the best we were able to figure out yesterday, there were like two fast food workers who kept getting interviewed.
Bartolome Perez and Talisha Rice. And they were union approved to tell their stories to the media, which these TV reporters and the LA Times reporters, they had two of them on the case, they never walked around to interview people to see what their sad stories are. All right, if you're going to do the sob story routine, why are you interviewing the same person that everyone else is? Why don't you have 5 stories?
Because I don't think that many fast food workers participated.
No.
And on top of that, a lot of them said, oh, no, I'm not going on TV. Well, my boss sees me, he'll fire me. This was my day off. I think if any of them participated, they didn't actually walk off the job yesterday. Since a lot of them are part-time, this is probably just hours they didn't work. And then they told the union people, you can't put me on TV. I don't want my boss to see me. So they found these two people and offered them up to all the news media who acted like they represent a million people.
Now, these reporters, these anchors, the news directors, the producers, a lot of them are making 6-figure salaries. And I bet you they send their kids to private schools, a lot of them. Why do any of these anchors, reporters, producers, do any of you tell your kids, go get a job at McDonald's and keep it for the next 20 years? It'll be good for you. In fact, you'll be able to raise a family on that. Nobody would, right? How many of these anchors and reporters yell at their kids to finish their homework, to go to bed early, to get off Facebook, to stop watching TV because you don't want to spend your life flipping burgers? I think every parent has given the flipping burger lecture to their kid, right? Why is that such a cliche for parents? Why does every parent give that speech? Because burger flipping jobs are considered, for the average person, the lowest form of employment. No skills, little chance of advancement, no pay, bad working conditions, really boring. Dead end. Fast food jobs for most people are absolute dead ends, and that's why parents yell at their kids. I've done it. Everybody does it. It's an easy one. It's from the book of parent cliches. So why do they, when they do their TV stories, they treat these people as if it's normal to work for 20 years at McDonald's for $10 an hour? And this is a serious societal problem that they can't make ends meet, that they can't pay their rent and raise their kids? Well, nobody thinks you can. The jobs aren't designed for that. So how come in this weird TV news bubble, everyone plays pretend as if you're supposed to be able to support a family of 4 or 5, and you're supposed to be you're supposed to be middle class, flipping burgers and shaking the fry basket? None of these people would tell their kids that that's what's going to happen. None of them. And there's no expectation from any of them. So why do they play pretend when they go on TV? I don't get it.
All right. Listen up for this.
It's time for the